Yeah, all right. We're going to run through the setup of SDR Uno with an RSP series receiver. And I'm going to try and do this from ground zero. And first thing you want to do is, of course, install the drivers for the rig itself. In other words, the cable that will interface your rig to the computer. If your rig requires a driver or your cable requires a driver, you want to install that very first thing. Next thing you want to do is you want to head over to DX Atlas. You can type in OmniRig in a search and go to downloads. Okay, and if you scroll down this page, let's see, what do we got? Where are you? Where is it? You may want to just check on this. Here you go. OmniRig. Yep, that's what you need. Okay, so you want to click on the DX Atlas. DX Atlas Amateur Radio Software. Click on this. And let's see, OmniRig, I believe you, Gary, 991. There it is. Okay, so it's compatible. So click on this, OmniRig client. All right, and it will download the zip, unzip it to, probably just unzip it to the appropriate, you can create a folder or whatever, unzip it to your hard drive somewhere, and go ahead and install it. Now, once it's installed, all right, go to, let me come over here. You probably already know this, but I'm going to do it anyways. Type in OmniRig in your search. OmniRig, run as administrator. And you're going to want rig, if you only have one rig connected, you're going to want rig 1. Mine particular, I have 2 rigs running, so I have the Anon is on rig 1 and the 7300 is on rig 2. So if you only have one in there, you want rig 1. Choose the appropriate rig type. Look in your COM port and device manager. Make sure you write down or remember your port number. Select that port and the appropriate baud rate for your radio. You may have to look it up. I have no idea what the 991 would be. And of course, your RTS and DTR settings. Make sure those are correct. Pretty much everything else you probably just leave alone. Click OK. I'm not going to touch it, so I'm going to hit cancel. So OmniRig will run every single time your computer starts. It will be running there. So go ahead and install the drivers for whether you're running an RSP 1A or a DX or an RSP Duo. Install the appropriate drivers. Follow the directions to a T. Do it exactly like they tell you to do it. Once that's done, you can go ahead and start SDR Uno. Of course, you're going to have to download SDR Uno, so make sure you download it, install it, and when it starts, it's going to look like this. This is going to be your default screen. So I'll show you how to make it look. I'll run through the settings and how you save your workspace and all this stuff. So what I do is this is the, let's see, this is a memory panel. I never use that. You may use that at some point. This is the audio panel. Okay. Now all these you can drag and drop, right? This is your plug-in panel. I don't use any plugins, so I get rid of that. So basically, I'll show you the panels that are the most important, and I'll show you what you can do with them, and I'll go through the configuration. So once you do that, what I usually do, this is an important one, the audio one, because it, wait a minute, I'm missing a panel, I think. So let's do, let's see, BRX main window. auxiliary spectrum. Okay, so all of those are present. This button right here, this MA, make sure that is not on. If that looks like that, make sure that is not in amber. Make sure that's in white. So check that. And let's see, RDS info window. That's irrelevant. I don't use that. Yes, I use this. This is an important one. So make sure you click on this one. The EX, I can't read it because I don't have my glasses. The RX EX control window. And that will pop onto your screen. So what I do is I drag this up here. I use this a lot. What that window does is it allows you to control the AGC. So you can take this window. This is your audio spectrum window, right? So what I'll do is I'll expand this down. Drag it over. Line that sucker up. Okay, so you've got your primary windows set up. These are the things you'll probably use all the time. Okay. The advantage to having this window open is this window controls you can do it from this window as well, but this will control your passband. So let's say you have some QRM coming in. You can take this, left click and drag this to tighten it up or expand it out. Let's say you were listening to, you wanted to customize the bandwidth you're listening to for ESSB. You got guys out at 4 kilohertz or 8 kilohertz, like the guys on 3630. You can listen like that. Also handy for AM, so you can drag your bandwidth on each side. This window, I'll show you what I do with this. Some people like the waterfall active. So let's say I drag this like this, right? And I click this button down here. This SP plus WF is the spectrum and the waterfall. So at the bottom here will be your waterfall, and I don't use the waterfall, so I really don't care. I just use the spectrum, the entire spectrum view. Okay, the very next thing you want to do is you want to run through your settings. Okay, now remember you installed the driver for the dongle, so you want to click OPT option, select input, and you're going to see your device pop up in here. You want to make sure that's selected. Mine is RSP, and yours will probably be RSP as well, but mine's identified as a duo. Mine's actually the duo, as you know, so you want to make sure that's selected. All right, and if you hit settings here, you hit settings on this window. I leave this alone. I do not touch any of this. Your IF AGC is important. You can run the IF AGC in auto, which is this check mark. It will automatically control the AGC for you. I do not do that. What I do is I usually start at around 35 dB. Sometimes I can run it at 40 dB or whatever. So 35 dB, I'll set that there. I don't believe there's anything else. Teammate. Yes, there is. Okay, so you have your... No, that's irrelevant. Okay, so that's all I set there. Now, notice that each one of these boxes, these 3 boxes have setting windows, as well as your pan adapter, and I'm going to go through all this. So I'm going to work across the top, and then I'm going to get to this. So this settings window for your VFO mode control, you want to select your output, whatever sound card, whatever you want to monitor through, be it an external sound card or an internal sound card. So you want to set this up. If you don't have an external sound card, probably speakers, Realtek Audio is what you want. This is where your cat control comes in. So if you scroll over, you'll see cat, and you want to select your COM port. Okay. So if on your device manager and your Omni rig is set to that COM port, let's say you're on COM 3 or whatever your rig is sitting on, you want to make sure that's there, and you want your baud rate to match what you have set in Omni rig. All right, click Enable and Connect, and here's your Omni rig. So this is what I have set in Omni rig. All right, now if you only have one rig in Omni rig and you're on rig 1, in other words, your 991 or whatever rig you're using is on rig 1, you want to make sure rig 1 is selected. Okay, mine is on rig 2 because that's the 7300. The Anon is on rig 1, so I want to make sure I'm not running the Anon through SDR Uno. So yes, you want the appropriate rig selected. I have top 2 checked and the 4th one checked. And that is done. All right. Now, if you were to hit play, it should light right up, but we're not going to do that. So we got a couple more settings to go through. Here's some settings for, this is for your audio spectrum window. So this is basically the where the signal is going to begin as a base along the bottom. You can slide this up and down. You got your water. Now, I don't run waterfall on this either. You can run SP and WF. So you'll have the spectrum on the top and the waterfall on the bottom. Don't care about the waterfall. I just run the spectrum. So you can do whatever you want. Waterfall does nothing for me. I could care less about seeing that. Some people like it. Anyways, top 2 are waterfall. These 2 are spectrum. And this will control your peaks, your spectrum range, how high the signals will go. And this will control the base level, the starting point. So you can open that and adjust that on the fly as you go. Okay, exact same thing on your main spectrum window. So this is the main spectrum settings, exactly the same as this. Your spectrum base and your peak range, spectrum range, will adjust how high. Like a lot of times you'll see some AM stations that are just blowing the doors in. They'll be like 50 over. And you'll notice that the signals are going right off the top of the pan adapter. So you basically need to reduce this. Okay, you'll figure it out. These are what I have checked. Spectrum fill, and what that means is, the signals that are popping up, it fills in with a light blue instead of having just lines there. I always want my S meter showing because I'm looking at the software, not the radio, and the S meter will appear on the spectrum. If the S meter is not there, you need to check that. It may not be there by default. Show frequency dial, which is up here, top right-hand corner. And the waterfall average, see, I don't use the waterfall, so you may want to, if you're using the waterfall, you may want to check that. I always have show cursor, OSD, and then the combo transparency. You can adjust the transparency, much like in Photoshop, of how much of the overlay you want visible, or you can make it completely transparent by sliding this. Kind of fine tune it. I really don't care, and I don't mess with that. So here's a key thing, and I'll show you right now. So go ahead and hit play, and you should see it sync to the radio. All right. So if your cat's connected, there you go. You should see it. It'll light the RSP up, and you should look at this and this, and then look at your radio, and it should match. So anywhere you click on the spectrum, it should take the radio there. And yes, it is moving. Now, here's kind of an interesting thing. If you go to the very bottom of this, of your spectrum window, now you can, this zoom obviously will zoom the pan adapter in, and this will zoom your pan adapter out. So let's say some people like the speed at which the waterfall jumps. I do not like that. So if you, I can't remember, see what that is. It may be an RBW. This right here, these two arrows, if you click this 3 times, you'll see the FFT slow down, and it'll become very smooth. I like a very smooth movement on there. Depends on what you want. You don't care about the smooth stuff, leave it alone. There's 3 settings. 3 clicks to the right will smooth it down, and that'll be as far as you can go with that. Now notice that a lot of the signals are off the screen. Well, that's where this comes into play. So you go back up to your settings, grab this slider right here. This will bring your signals up. And of course, the ham band is actually from here, well, the phone band from here to here, right? So you're going to want to zoom it in, unless you're going to look across, a huge spectrum of frequencies. So this is your peak right here. So you set that accordingly. And now you can zoom in. Let's see, I usually go 3, I think, and that gives me 3,600 to 4,000. Nope, it would be 2 probably. So let's go on this particular configuration. Yep, so I got 3,600 right here, all the way to 4 kilohertz, or 4 megahertz, I'm sorry. 3,600 to 4 megahertz of spectrum coverage, which is the entire phone portion of the 80 meter band. You can click here, and bada boom, bada bing. Now, if you notice, your VFO is 610.1. So if you want to zero that, all you have to do is roll the mouse down 1 click or up 1 click. And I have mine set to 100 hertz steps. So I find that that's what you want. Otherwise, you're going to be scrolling that mouse a lot. And I don't have the audio on for obvious reasons, because it's going to compete with my voice. Your mute control is here. All of your modes are here. When you change modes here, it will change the radio. Okay, here's a critical feature. Your noise reduction, noise blinkers, they're all activated through this control pane in the software. Okay, you're going to have to fool around in this. It's confusing sometimes. So the AGC is a critical one. So the wider open you run the AGC. So I'll just hold on a second. I know.
Oh, good stuff. Yeah, that's true.
So the software is
what
running.
else did I want to ask you?
I don't have the headphones on.
So what else did Julius have to say? He say anything? I'm curious about that. Oh, that's what I wanted to ask you. Did he say anything about the fact that the cables could be causing the RF with the Behringer? Because that was the...
Okay, so I'll mute it. What you want to do is, let me bring the volume back up here. What you want to do is you want to roll this AGC until you have a nice compromise between the noise floor and the signal coming in. Now, if your audio spectrum up here is not where you want it to be, you can always go to settings and bump the baseline up a little bit or whatever. And usually you can kind of leave that alone, and it should be okay. If you're getting a lot of overshoot on it, you're going to have to roll back the spectrum range. So let me show you what happens with the AGC, and this is one of the most powerful features of the SDR stuff.
Cable on, but even with the new cable, it was still humming, and he goes, you can't use this unless you
so he's 20
get the
over,
iBox
25
or you
over.
replace this with something else. If you want to get a 8-band equalizer or
so
whatever.
you can take this AGC.
He said, but you shouldn't really go directly from the mic into that,
you can
and
roll
then
this
from
right
that
back
into the EQ plus. He said, you're looking for trouble. So apparently, once you get that iBox in line, that should take care of that. You'll never have the issue. Because I'm moving these cables around right now as I'm talking, John. I don't hear anything.
No, sounds crystal clear.
See how quiet
now,
it is?
How do you have your
So if you bring the AGC out,
plugged into the side of that iBox or no?
Yeah, Roger.
See the noise
iBox
come up?
itself has the outlet there for it, so I have like a splitter, where I get to.
okay, so you've got I never run the squelch. This is your squelch setting. Your noise reductions are, let's see, this is noise reduction right here. You got noise blankers, narrow bandwidth. What is that? What did that say? Noise blankers. You got your notches, which I never mess with the notches. That's something you may want to play with a little bit. They're very handy. I haven't learned how to how to apply notches and stuff like that, and I should, because that's one of the most powerful things of the software. I believe you can put in manual notches. So if you see these birdies right here, let's say you had someone who was transmitting right on this frequency and you were working them and you had a freaking birdie right there or some kind of interference. So what? You just apply a little narrow notch filter right there and it's gone. And you can place, I believe, multiples throughout the spectrum. Don't hold me to that, but I believe you can. Kind of cool. Okay. Now there was the feature. I can't remember where it is to set the. Oh, this is a key one. I don't know if this automatically lights up. This right here, it says R-Sync. I think when that's lit up and you see its amber color, that means your OmniRig is active. I'm not sure if you have to activate that from here or it automatically activates from where we activated OmniRig in the settings, which would be in here, remember? Right here under Cat, enable and connect. You also want RX mode control checked. So all the commands you send to the radio from here will allow it to communicate everything. It'll communicate. So I'm trying to think. Okay, where is the step size? So bandwidth. There's a place where you can set the step size, and I can't for the life of me remember where it is. This software, the buttons and the numbers are very tiny, and that's the problem. Let me see if it's miscellaneous. No, it's not there. No. This is your individual. For these settings right here, these are all individual parameters you can control for each setting in this main control window. So if you notice your AGC right here, you've got fast, medium, and slow. So you can set these parameters for your AGC all custom. Things you can't do with a conventional superhead. So you can really customize it and make the AGC really crank for you. Okay, I don't believe it's in that window. So we got this settings window over here. Let me just check options quick. Can't remember where it is. Dadgummit. Oh, by the way, I always put I always put it on high process priority as well. Let's see. Let's try these settings. Offset. We don't need that. We don't need that. Excuse me. Oh, crap. Let me see. Memory. Assign team. We are not using teammate. Filtered view. I'm missing something. Bandwidth. Can't find it. Dadgummit. missing something. What am I missing? Okay. Where are the step sizes? Hang on, let me do a search. Oh, right click. In the right click in the RX control window, which is the RX control window. What the frick? Okay. RX control frequency window. There it is. Okay, you got your tuning step. For sideband, yeah, and pretty much everything you want to set to 100 hertz. Very few, I've never heard anybody transmitting on, like, let's say 3.610.550. You know what I mean? It's always like 0.1, 0.2, 0.5, 0.7, 0.8, that type of thing, sometimes 0.9. Yeah, so right click in this frequency window in your VFO. All right, make sure when you right click in it, God, it's been a while. Make sure when you right click in it, you've got one of the highlighted, see how the VFO, the yellow line lights up? Make sure that's it. You can't just right click anywhere in here. You got to be in the VFO window and clearly inside of it. So there you go. Okay, the final step, right? If you right click right here, it's probably going to say default. Mine has saved workspaces. So let's say you want to save this workspace, right? So it opens every time exactly the same way. Again, make sure that the MA up here is unchecked. In other words, it's white. Click Save Workspace, and you're going to see at the top, you're going to see default. So what you want to do is save that. Go ahead, or you can choose one of the workspaces and save that. Let's say you want to save it into workspace number 1, because there'll be like workspace, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, with a default at the top. Choose your workspace. I wouldn't wipe your default out. Personally, I would save it in workspace 1 and go ahead and save it. And then it's going to say, workspace 1 here or whatever, wherever you saved it. So if you right click on that, you'll see it highlight and it'll go, you can name whatever you want for the workspace there. Hit enter, boom, you're done. Now, every single time, I don't want to save that. So I don't know how, I'm going to leave it alone right there. I don't want to save that because that's going to overwrite my previous workspace. So once that's done, you're all set. And every time you close it, I can save this as, let me just put demo. So I'll put demo, enter, demo, right? So this is the last workspace I use. So if I close this, so you want to go up here, I believe it's this one right here, this window, hit the X and it will close everything. And wave bye-bye. Okay, so if you go back and you open this sucker up, it should revert right back to that. Yep, nope, Now that's interesting. I don't know why it did that. Well, yours is not going to do that, so pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. It's not going to work like that. This is the layout I use for the RSP Duo, so that's really irrelevant. I like all of these windows open because I fuss with them. This one I don't fuss with. This one, which is for this window right here. This one's for this window right here. This is my output. This is the IFAGC, which I fuss with sometimes. Sometimes you'll see it overload here. So I'll either drag the RF gain down a little bit, or I'll shift the IFAGC a little bit down, and it'll stop flashing overload down here. This window is for diversity mode, and I don't have that open right now. So that's basically it, man. Yeah, I don't understand why. That's weird. So if I click the dual receive, so this is kind of cool on the RSP Duo, right? So I have this laid out for the Duo. Now, if I go to dual normal, right, what happens is you'll see this doesn't pertain to you, but I figured I'd show you. This goes to dual M, which is master. Now what I can do is I can right click and I can open another instance of SDR Uno. This is open on the second receiver. So you'll see dual slave, right? So now this one has omni-rig control. This one does not, and I can easily change that. You'll see RSY sync, R sync. So that's the one that has omni-rig active on it. So if I do this, and I don't believe I tried to do that before, and it will not share the COM port, which is kind of odd. I do need to do some digging on that, but yeah. So this is receiver 2, so I can monitor any other band or anywhere. I can put it on the same frequency and listen. So there you go. Anyways, that's it. That's enough of that crap. So close these, and I'll see you later, man. Let me know if you got any questions, but that should definitely get you up and running. See ya.